For many years now, people have been seeing the patrolling and the controlling of media and certain elements of media in modern Western society. All reasons behind this are for the emotional stability of certain elements within the general public. Certain groups and peoples have been pushing for the censoring or the controlling of certain types of expression within many different mediums and ways of entertainment for a long time now. And unfortunately, they are slowly but surely succeeding in that. From Game of Thrones to video games. From the policing of porn to things like this speed paint. Mediums that are considered by some to be inappropriate are slowly but surely being worn away until only a sanitized and clean version of society is left. And that's why I've chosen this speed paint to talk about this. We don't know much about the world that Shimoneta exists in. But the little we do know is that Japan has become so uber PC that even the mere understanding of sexuality is seen as wrong and depraved. And that's where I believe we're heading towards in our society. Let's take the Anita Sarkeesians of the world and their approach of sexualizing and abusing women. Most of the people who have heard these people's rhetoric know that their arguments are baseless and stupid, that the arguments of disempowering women are laughably wrong and hurtful. The problem comes when I think that many outside of this type of talk don't understand where people like me are coming from. We're not actually advocating for the hurting of people's feelings. Moreover, we're for people expressing themselves freely. Take body shaming, for example. The typical argument against body shaming is saying there are few women who look so perfect in the world. Why promote such an oppressive body standard? Any who counter this argument are labelled with the idea of saying, you are a fat fuck and ugly, so why would anyone want to have sex with you? When the actual counter-argument is more, this is one body type. Science has shown that more people are attracted to this, even in a general sense. So using this type to gain as large an audience as possible is not a bad idea. This factual argument is drowned out in the tide of, oh, you're just hating on fat people, which then begins to promote a culture of accepting a coddling and sympathising of any kind of lifestyle, regardless of how good or bad it is. The line is blurred and standards begin to drift. That's when things begin to get dirty. Some of you may not know this, but a little over a year and a half ago, a guy who successfully landed a rocket onto a moving comet was brought into the limelight, for all the wrong reasons. Dr. Matt Taylor was part of a European scientists team who successfully landed a spaceship onto a comet. This is the first time this has ever happened in human history, and as a historic moment, it should have been lauded and celebrated as a feat we've never done before, as an amazing thing that we need to celebrate. It wasn't though. It was dirtied and destroyed by the social justice community, simply by what Dr. Taylor was wearing. He had a polo shirt on that had nothing but pin-up girls on it, all of them in the typical 1940s to 50s style of scantily dressed women in suggestive poses. For this, he was berated by many people in the media and on Twitter, so much so that when he came to do a public apology, he was brought to tears for wearing nothing but a certain piece of clothing that certain people disagreed with. The usual arguments were made that he was a misogynist and a sexist, and how this is endemic of the STEM community, and how it is male-based and oppressive to women. The fact was, though, the shirt he was wearing was designed by a female artist and a personal friend of his. He was wearing it because it was a gift from her, and the woman who made it was celebrating the female form. But it didn't matter to the social justice warriors. They saw something that they hated and they attacked. This has happened to artists on the internet as well. I think everyone remembers the whole bullying campaign the Steven Universe Tumblr community did against Zamy for having non-representative character models of certain characters. The Brony community included in that as well. There have been artists who have lost their day jobs because of Puritan efforts against them, because of horrible sexist body standards or oppressive body shaming that certain people are pushing. These artists are showing the love of the human form, in whatever medium they are using. If your personal sensibilities are offended by sexually expressive pieces of artwork, suggestive poses and alluring images, then the only person you have to question is yourself. As long as the art in question is featuring adults in these acts, then there is nothing wrong with that artwork. The only thing wrong is the person sitting there saying, "I'm offended by this, it needs to be removed." But it gets even worse. The attack that certain elements in society are doing towards certain types of body and shape are laughably silent on the more pressing and disturbing issues. And this is all to do with how they phrase their arguments. "I have hurt feelings" leaves them in a sticky situation. The same elements that attacked Dr. Taylor for wearing a piece of clothing are all the more willing to embrace ideas and practices that are, by modern Western moral standards, disgusting and sickening. These people are willing to denounce a man for wearing a polo shirt showing the virtues of the adult female form, to show how much we love that image in our society. But they are willing to accept an inroad that has happened recently in the love is love ideal that expresses everything up to and including pedophilia and bestiality. Because they can't help who they're attracted to. Well, I'm sorry, but when you get to the point that you're making excuses for a pedophile by saying, "They were born like that," we're at a point that needs serious examination. These people are trying to reshape reality. They want a world where your feelings are the only thing that's important. Whether the facts match up with your feelings or not doesn't matter. If you're offended by this or that, it should be taken away because your feelings matter. Well, I'm sorry for saying this, but no, your feelings don't matter. If you see a fashion model who is tall, thin, sexy, and you feel like you can never attain that, that is your problem, no one else's. You see an advert saying something with a woman who isn't your body type, and feel like it is shaming you for not being like that body. That's on you, and no one else. Yes, we can all feel offended by things. Yes, we can all feel insulted by standards that we don't think we'll ever live up to. But censoring society to a point where things like this, or any other piece of artwork, media, game, TV show, movie, or anything else is suppressed and kept down will lead us nowhere but the boring world where the concept of dirty jokes doesn't exist. And I'm all for SOX and their approach towards that society. I just don't want that society to be my society. Thanks for listening. Have a great day.